On this episode, we take a look at a new flotation research facility underway in Oklahoma. We learn about floating's applications for athletes, and we take a trip to Nashville, Tennessee to explore floating in the South.
This is our float-around product, and here at Tulsa we have an open version which you see here. We make this in 4 quadrants because otherwise it wouldn't carry through any doors, and it makes this tub, which is basically an 8-foot diameter tub.
Very different than what most people would actually think about when they think about a float tank. In fact, you come into this room, it's extremely spacious, everything's open. So one of the beauties, I think, of being in an open float room is the room itself becomes the float tank.
And of course, the idea is this room will go completely dark. We have ambitious plans here that when the floating person wants the light on for any reason, they'll only have to lift their hand and we'll detect that, and the lights will come on. The surface is anti-slip to some degree, as is the surface here. Very important detail in any float room, and it's really quite effective when you're stepping out.
And we've also put a lot of effort into the ventilation system. The environment we want to create is one that, as closely as possible, matches the temperature of the water and of your skin so that the boundaries dissipate.
We're measuring the temperature in 2 places, so that gets an accurate measure of the temperature of the water, and we will compare the 2, and that gives us a chance to calibrate the whole thing. We have a certain amount more work to do, but basically it's just fitting up the plumbing and the electrics, and this will be ready to go in about a day.
Mental rehearsal is a technique that's used in athletic training very extensively. And the mental rehearsal is usually something like, go through in your mind visualizing the steps of the whatever athletic performance you're doing, and imagine doing it perfectly. And then when you finish that, it helps you do it more closely to perfect than before. So we thought that would work okay even better with the tank. And I think our first study was on basketball free throws. And we got people, university students who were not basketball players. And the number of successful free throws after they came out was significantly higher than before. And compared to a group that had only 2 sessions of practice with no flotation in between, they did not improve. Then we did a study on dart throwing, and we measured how close they came to the bullseye. And again, the flotation for an hour improved their performance. So that caught on. And then there were a number of people doing all kinds of sports, ace serves in tennis, for example, downhill ski racers, people who were on a basketball team, target shooting with rifle shooting, pilot training in a simulator. On all of those, the results were positive. So basically, it's quite clear that visualizing the performance in the tank helps you do better when you come out. I'm told there are a number of professional sports teams that use it, and I know that the Australian Institute of Sport, which trains their Olympic athletes and other high-level competitors, uses it quite extensively. The other thing that it does, and this was done with gymnasts, I remember, that if you go into the tank after your performance, you recover much faster from fatigue, and if you have a slight, like a muscle strain or something like that, you recover much faster from that. So you can use it both before and after.
My name is Yassine Deboon. I was living in upstate New York, and I started running on the trails and was instantly hooked to the sensory stimuli of trail running. It was easier on my body, and I just fell in love with that. And I started reading some books about ultra marathons, and I thought, wow, these people are going 50 and 100 miles. I was like, this is crazy. But there's something really cool about it as well. And my wife said, "Oh no, are you gonna start doing these?" And I said, "No way, these people are nuts." And lo and behold, I ended up start doing them and fell in love with the sport of ultra marathons. I actually initially came to floating for the physical component, for my muscles and joints to recover, but in turn I found that the mental piece has been more helpful. I'm able to unplug, visualize what aid stations I'm going to be coming into at approximately what time and what that's going to look like in a lot of these 100-mile races. There are a lot of details that go along with that, so going through it over and over in my head on race day as I'm going through the mountains and going through the course, I found it to be awesome because I've already played the tape through so many times. Now I'm just going through the motions. There are times when I'm on the trail and I hit the perfect stride, the sun's coming through the trees, the birds are chirping, and I'm flying. And I get those goosebumps on my arm and I get chills over my whole body. And because it's felt so good and I felt so grateful and so free, and it was just so beautiful that I've shed a tear. Okay, so those runs don't happen all the time. The similarity to floating is every time I float, I don't get this amazing magical experience, but every once in a while I get like that runner's high. I get this moment where I am somewhere else. You know, I have all these visualizations happening in my brain and it's beautiful, and then all of a sudden I realize that I'm in that state and I come out of it, and then but 20 to 30 minutes may have passed where I was just on the verge of sleeping basically. It's a brilliant idea and I'm so glad that I found it.
Hey, I'm Mark with Float Nashville, and today I'm going to give you a quick little tour of our place here. We've got probably about 5,000 pounds of salt sitting right here, and we've got 3 tanks, so we're about ready to do some heavy work around here. Well, come on in. Glad you're here. This is our little space. We've got about 1,100 square foot building here. And it's a little small for a float center, but we're really glad we've kind of started this way. It's made it a real intimate type place. So come on back. This is our open tank. And if you know anything about floating, of course, most tanks are closed. But we work with a lot of people who have just disabilities in the sense that they're not strong enough to get in and out of the tank, or they might be in a wheelchair, or they have some muscle issues or whatever. And so we created this to make it just really easy for someone to take a shower and step right into our tank. They get to actually work the lights themselves. So when they come in here, they really love that idea that they're just not going to be in complete darkness by closing a door. This tank here is called the escape pod, and we love this tank. There's a womb type feeling that I think is just a little special.
It is one of the easiest things to do, but it's also the most difficult thing in the world to do. To say to someone, hey, let me have 90 minutes of your time so you can lay there and do nothing. I think that goes against everything that we know.
Once I understood what a float tank was and how it works and the reason behind it, the science behind it, it was just very simple to fall in line with Amy and said, yeah, we've got to do this. We've got to help people.